September meeting of the Library Board of Trustees. It is 6:03. In attendance, we have trustees Lee Lewis. Actually, I'm going to have everyone go around. We'll do a roll call attendance tonight. So if you want to start.
Lee Lewis.
Thank you, Tosca.
Jen Quackenbush.
Emily Curtin.
Oh, me. Oh, Matthew Donahue.
Donald Cologne, Library Director.
Great. The first thing on the agenda this evening is minutes approval, which were sent out in the email full of documents. Did anyone have any edits, corrections, additions? Not seeing any, I'll take a motion to accept them as is.
Motion to accept the minutes as written. Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. So we are on to the tutors in the library policy, which Donald was kind enough to send to us so we could see what the current policy looks like. And then I'm going to have Director Cologne speak to how it works with people coming in using the library space to tutor students of all ages.
Okay, so currently tutors are allowed to use the art gallery hallway for tutoring space. Children are allowed to be tutored in the children's room if there isn't space in the art gallery. Tutoring isn't allowed in the teen room nor in the adult reference area. Generally, it's not too much of an issue, except for sometimes over the summer, we can get inundated with them. So, but periodically we do need to, take a look at policies that haven't been looked at in a while and, kind of just see if there's any need for an update. One of the things that I am working on is, reevaluating the space of the adult area in the sense of trying to provide more space for quiet study as well as tutoring. So that will play a part in, the future, policy. But, we just kind of wanted to, present this for people to kind of have a first look through of it and see if there's anything, that can be immediately tweaked or just for future, rediscussion. But there hasn't been any type of, issue per se. It's just, we don't have a big enough library with a big enough space to accommodate everybody, unfortunately.
And it's important that we look at the established policies after a certain period of time, just because things change. I'm frantically trying to open my document right now.
It's handy little zip files.
I might have to send it out again, which I can do.
Do any of them use the new space in front, or is it just too loud, or you don't encourage that?
They do not use any of the space in the lobby area.
I think even if it was offered to them for privacy reasons, they probably wouldn't.
Is it regularly an issue where the tutors don't have adequate space?
Mainly over the summer is really when we, see the increase of them. So during the school year, normally there isn't, any call for it.
I'm sending it right now by itself, so you'll just be able to pull it up on its own.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to create like a folder on Drive, because it's a lot easier to share and interact with a folder on Drive than it is like a zip folder.
Yeah, I usually don't do zip files, but for some reason, the last 2 times my computer just like folded them into a zip file. And I tested it and it opened when I opened it on my desktop, but it's not opening on this. But I just sent it standalone, so.
Another nice thing about Google Docs is you can give people comment access instead of write access. So
Right.
if people have issues, they can actually like submit them before the meeting.
Mhm.
I don't think that's going to be all that relevant, but it is a useful feature if we expect a lot of discussion on something.
So at the top of the policy, it says that we did a working revision in 2018. And it probably, my guess would be, has not even been looked at since then. But it has been operating as it's described in the policy, so.
Correct.
I guess my only question about this, because I feel like the policy as written, when I looked at it before, it sounded good too, but my question is there any calendar kept for tutors? Because what if 8 tutors show up for the same window of time? Do we just try to accommodate them the best we can?
It's a, it's a
'Cause
very,
I imagine it
it's
has
a,
to
it's,
happen.
it's a hands-off system as far as the staff is concerned. It's a first come, first serve. And sometimes that's the situation, is that they've gone to other libraries and they encountered the same situation where there was an influx and they were unable to, get the study time there, so that
Well,
they.
I definitely don't want to create another task that the staff at the library needs to handle. So
I almost wonder if like there is some kind of count open to everyone, and it's like, look, not our problem, but like, if you want to reserve something, you can put it in the calendar, and then everyone can see that you're there and how many people are booked, and then if there is a dispute, whoever has the booking first gets priority.
I could imagine that would be a weird, like anything that was scheduling of somebody who's just like Lee Lewis is gonna run tutoring and I wanna do it on Tuesday nights, so I'm gonna just sign up every Tuesday night.
Yeah.
But don't have any.
And
And
I
I'm
noticed,
just sort of
like-
running my business out of the library, so to speak. It seems like, it's a public space for the public to use as they wish, and tutoring is somewhat aligned with the work of the library, and at times the resources could be being used. But I'd be nervous to kind of get involved with the who does
Scheduling.
what, schedule, all of these things.
And it does say the last bullet of the current policy stands, tables or other library spaces cannot be reserved for tutoring, nor can the expectation be made that others will be asked to move to accommodate a tutoring section. So if people are here because it happened to have been empty, and then you storm in with your teens that you're gonna tutor for SATs, being like, oh, well, we have a standing Tuesday night.
I think that I would personally prefer something where people can make reservations, but I think to your point, it's just extra overhead that we don't need. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I can say that in previous times, there was a time that another library was reviewing their policy on it. And there had been a letter that was sent out from the Attorney General's office that said that tutoring was actually not allowed in libraries because
It's money making.
it's
yes.
because they're running a business on municipal property. However, libraries kind of have taken the stance of understanding a need, like, we're a public space, a safe place. So obviously we don't necessarily want to see tutors bringing children to home and, stuff like that. So this being a public space kind of is conducive to that kind of, educational, task. So it's not something I definitely say like, don't have them, because they do support the library and using our resources and things like that. So yeah, but I do think that a calendar, to try to keep track of that, when we have so many other kind of calendars as well.
I know, it's just another. I also appreciate that it says the library doesn't maintain a list of tutors, allow them to advertise, provide tutor recommendations, like all of that's happening outside of the library. But if you want to use it for the space.
Fees and residents who are coming here to read, talk, study, research.
But I do feel like it's a pretty robust industry that comes through here for tutoring, because I feel like I run into people all the time, every age group, and like. So I guess as long as the library is fine with the way it's written here. I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so, isn't there any other suggestions or edits? All right, then we can probably remove that working revision that we've been apparently sitting on since December 19th, 2018. I'm not sure what we would have investigated at that point, but. That can be posted as,
But we would, I don't know if we need to take a vote on it, but where it's on the agenda is tutor policy discussion and not a vote. It kind of presents as being just that, a discussion versus a vote. So it could be something that we can,
officially vote on next time.
at the next time, and then that'll give folks more time to, review it and see if there are any other changes, and then we can revisit that then.
And surprise, we'll probably have another policy that we're looking over again, just to make sure that we're up to date on everything. All right, thank you for that. I'm disappointed that my zip files don't open on this. But moving on, we are talking about the vacancies.
Okay. So the teen and emerging technology librarian position has been offered to a candidate. The candidate currently works at 2 libraries part-time, and they were offered the position and will be starting the first week in October. And so that position, has been pulled from the BLC's website. The library technician position was posted. I've begun doing interviews for that position. In 2 days last week, I got 41 applications from HR. So that has been an intense process. So I do have a couple of interviews. One was this morning, and there's another one later this week for that position. But there's a handful of, potentially good candidates, for that position. One of the challenges I think that may come with that position is the scheduling. Currently, that position at 19 hours is 3 evenings and every Saturday, basically to cover lunch shifts. But obviously we found one person that was able to, take on that schedule. So hopefully, we would, be able to find more candidates as well. And any changes to schedules have to be negotiated because it is a union position and their specific schedules are in the union contracts. So any deviation from that has to be negotiated. And unfortunately, we have received another resignation. Ms. Hawley is resigning from the position as the head of youth services. She has taken another position elsewhere. It is a phenomenal opportunity for her. As much as, I am saddened, I am also thrilled because of the opportunities that would be offered to her. And, I do think that, she helped elevate the standard of services and expectations here at the Kingston Public Library. So I feel that, we can, be disappointed, but still have to be happy for her and her, future endeavors. And of course, she's still in Kingston and she's still going to be around, so we'll be, just thrilled to see her, as often as we can get her. Her last day will actually be the end of this week, as she will be taking on her new position quite soon. So that position, HR has been reviewing the job description, has submitted recommended changes to the job description to me. I am reviewing them. We are also inputting changes to that position, as was the teen librarian position. There was language in the reference position that was omitted from these other ones, and HR has felt that that needs to go in there as well. So it's 5 additional pages, basically, of job description that needs to be reviewed, and then it will be posted. And so that is the current standing of the vacancies.
And to add to that, just my experience being here, I feel as though there's an influx of applicants for the children's department positions that come up. At least that was what happened when, just before we hired Miss Sam, just before we hired Miss Holly, there was a large applicant pool. So I feel like whereas some positions, we struggled to get interest in applications, the head of the children's department is not one of them. Not that Miss Holly can be replaced, but we will do our best to find someone to step in there. Moving forward to the facilities update.
Okay, so really the only big thing with facilities is the LED sign. So the sign company was on site last week. They came out to measure the housing for the panels. And basically what they're doing, because I got an in-depth explanation of the process, is that they've had to 3D print some kind of holder thing or something with the panels. They will be pouring some type of electrical kind of hardening thing and basically putting it on in order to make so the panels themselves are weatherproof, but it is actually like the wiring housing stuff that's not. So basically they said, that once this stuff goes on it and it hardens, we will never have moisture in there. So I asked for a lead time on that, and we're looking at possibly up to 2 months.
This is such a complicated thing. They have 3D print.
There was something, something had to fit a certain way, so they had to 3D print something.
So if that was in November, does the temperature drop actually affect their ability to do this? I've worked.
As long it was, they have been out on, not perfect days. But I think any work that needed to be done, it would have to be a dry day. So I think that the temperature wise wouldn't be an issue. It would be, if it was raining or stormy or something. Yeah.
It's funny to me because I remember sitting in the meetings where a sign was proposed, and the one thing that people said that was a negative or a con would be, what about the upkeep? What about the unforeseen like repairs? What about and now here we are living it.
Yes. So,
but at least there is an option.
There is. And so hopefully in this quote unquote repair, is at what I would call a minor cost. It's still a couple of grand, but it was funded by the foundation, did already give us the funds for that. So
yes, and they generously gave us the sign as well.
Yes. So I think that, once this repair is done, hopefully, that will be the end of it. If not, we will then need to look for a new sign, because unfortunately, we've been contacted by numerous community groups like the Agricultural Commission and others who have like, oh, can you put our event on the sign? And I said, we can't, unfortunately, because with the current state of it. So
we can't even put our event.
Exactly.
Person who individually
Change the letters. Yes. Yes. So that's really the big facilities issue there.
Can I ask about our pillars in front of the center?
So the My understanding is, I do have to check back with facilities. There was, the funding that was going to be used for it, but then there was another need, in the town, where that funding had to be directed. I know that he was working on, trying to find a solution for that. I know that they've done other work there. They've just repaired some of the steps that led from the parking lot to the Adams Center, that, basically the concrete steps were like chipped, along the edges or whatever.
Yeah.
So those have been, repaired and stuff. But I have not had any further conversation other than that.
Thank you.
Oh, and also, I am still waiting to hear back about the plantings for the Eversource box. That appears to be completed because they haven't been back in a while.
Awesome.
And it wasn't a problem for the library, which was.
That is correct.
Yes.
That is
It
correct.
was separate from
Yeah.
all of the activity and.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think anybody used it as a table,
I don't
so
either.
that's,
Looked at it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Then we'll just go right to the director's report, if you don't mind.
okay. So the big thing, I think, with the director's report, obviously, has been the interviews, for positions, but also the financial report was completed and submitted to the MBLC. With that, with the funding that the town has given us, as well as additional funding from the foundation, we obviously have met and exceeded the requirements for state aid, so we are certified for another year. So that was good, a very good thing, because that has been one of a struggle at times. As part of some of my goals was to review job descriptions. So I've been working on a few for current and future job descriptions, which were outlined in my report.
Oh, and just to clarify, working on job descriptions doesn't mean anticipating openings.
Absolutely
It's
not.
just something that's
Absolutely not.
done.
Yeah. So basically, what will end up happening, for example, like one of the positions is an assistant director position, which would be a wage and personnel position. It would need to be approved to be added to the wage and personnel bylaw. And it's just basically to put the position on the books. It does not mean, okay, we want this new position, we want the money now for this position. It's just, we just want that, to be in place so that when there is funding, or restructuring of positions or what have you, that it would be those tasks and would be there, I guess.
For example, the teen and emerging tech position was on the books for years before they put it out there, and we were able to actually have a teen room and have a teen librarian.
Yeah. That's what that's what you have to do. You have to plant the bug. You plant the seed, and then it just, over time you have to remind people, and that's how it happens. The arrows in the, circle out there was done by Street Trees and Parks. It does seem to, my observations have been that folks have been following that kind of pattern. So that has been good. I did have a conversation with the facilities manager concerning the carpeting in the children's room. Obviously, we have high traffic in the children's room, but there is a lot of staining and what have you. So my understanding is a couple of weekends ago, the cleaners were in to try to get some of that cleaned, and they could not. So we are looking at having the tiles replaced. However, facilities is concerned that if this is a kind of ongoing project that's going to happen often because of the use of the space, that we would be looked at to contribute to paying for the tiles, and it would go beyond the facilities budget. The EV station, there was an issue with it, but that has been resolved. It appears that occasionally it trips the circuit breaker. Which hopefully the replacements that are underway for them would not be as much of a problem. And I've begun, working on planning for the book and treat program. We are still trying to work out some details with the rec department. And let's see. And the Amazon issue has been resolved, thankfully. So we have resumed, utilizing them as a vendor. So video games and, supplies and stuff like that have once again been ordered through them. And then included with my report, as always, is the monthly statistics. The one big one that I wanted to kind of have folks to be aware of, which may be just an anomaly, but for the months of July and August, we saw a huge increase in the use of Hoopla. So probably, like a year or so ago, it was about like 900 and something, dollars. And, that was kind of where it was kind of budgeted. And then, creeped up to like 1,100 and 1,200. For the month of August, it went up to 1,746. So there obviously, so I don't know if that was road trip season and people were using audiobooks or what. But
This is the one I set up the library.
Okay, so it's all on you.
So no, I'm just saying people who like have those jobs that start up again in August.
Yeah. So that is definitely, and what we did this year was we actually paid a credit so that we didn't have to pay monthly invoices. So as the months go on, it gets deducted from that money. So obviously 1,700 wasn't what was anticipated for this month. I can go in and I can look at the month to date statistics, and we're definitely not there. So September is definitely not going to be at that threshold.
Okay, I was just gonna say, is this a new trend or?
Yeah. I mean, at least at this point, I mean, anything can happen in the next 2 weeks.
Does it distinguish for patrons? Are patrons just patrons, or is it like the youth patrons, adult patrons?
Just patrons.
Okay.
It's just patrons. The only thing that like they can distinguish things basically by format.
Because students now have access to their school accounts, which gives them access to Sora,
Right.
which is in the Libby family.
Yeah.
So if they were using in August, they may have been using Hoopla. They could be switching back.
It could be. It could be. Yeah. So I'm keeping an eye on that just to see. But that was quite a jump. But if anyone has any questions concerning my report.
Then we can move on to the staff reports, which were in that dreaded bulk zip file that hopefully we'll be able to access on some device. Any questions or concerns about the staff report? And obviously we don't have the team, because that position won't be filled until the beginning of October.
Will be filled?
The teen.
No, I said it will be filled.
Yes, it will. The Friends and Foundation update is brief, but Jess did send a big thank you to everyone who volunteered. She said it was a very successful event, and I was there for a few hours of it, and it definitely seemed so. How were you there till the end? Yeah. I thought it was really busy. I thought people seemed to be having a great time. It was it was like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And I know they're meeting tonight to just debrief and figure things out for next time. And she also mentioned, just so that we're aware, that they are going to do their Elf on the Shelf kits again around holiday season. And that was it from Foundation and Friends. There are no bills to be paid. Anything under old business? Not seeing anything under new business? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 6:32 PM.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.